Good afternoon, everybody, and my name is Dylan, and I'm coming to you live from Codename Entertainment's beautiful streaming refrigerator here in Victoria, BC, Canada. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Dungeons & Dragons for hosting us on the official D&D Twitch. It is and will always be an honor to be here and be a part of this community. And a shout out to my co-producer, Erica, on the other side of this wall. For managing the CNE Games account and handling all of our giveaways. And I might have a guest with me in the studio. But before we get to that, I do want to mention the one thing that we talked about a lot leading into this stream. Giving away this year Boxo Gale Force 9 minis, including Zariel, Archduchess of Avernus, and a Planetar, and a few other key Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus minis, courtesy of Gale Force 9. So we have the winners for that, for this giveaway. Luck of the draw happens that they are both in the United States, which is great for shipping because we know the things will actually make it to you. Sorry to our non-North American audience members. So the grand prize goes to a Teresa DK. And the runner-up, who will be receiving these, is Azragoth. I don't know if Azragoth is in chat or not, but congratulations. And we will be sending some things to you. So hopefully we have your shipping information. It should have been part of the sign-up. But we will be contacting you hopefully today to get this all sorted and sent out. Azragoth, yeah, that's the name I have. Scared Phoenix. I don't know who Azragoth is, but they are at least 4 miniatures richer than they were before the stream started. And so now that we have that out of the way, I can introduce today's special guest. So joining me here in the studio, having just taken a ferry over from Seattle, the creator of Avren, DM of Heroes of the Veil and Beyond Heroes, which come back on November 6th, and the creative voice you've come to expect from pretty much everything that D&D Beyond puts out video-wise. Mr. Todd Kenreck is here in the studio with me. Welcome.
That is a lot of pressure.
There's a notification to watch us in game right now.
That freaks me out.
It's kind of strange, right?
When I'm playing Idle Champions, playing myself, fighting myself, and then getting notified that I should watch myself. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to break the universe on some level, but yeah.
Well, it's like some sort of paradoxical Gordian knot just kind of folding in on itself, right? It's just,
oh my god,
yeah,
like you with the big words.
Every once in a while, I can throw out a thesaurus or two. I see that Lauren is in chat.
Lauren's always in chat.
That's actually true. Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. She's always there.
Possibly the most chat active member of the D&D community.
Todd, the Forgotten Realms are calling you. What are they calling me? And how offensive is it? Is it that I'm too powerful? Because I am.
Have you had a chance? No, you definitely would have, because Ed Greenwood was at the Stream of Many Eyes. You probably had a chance to chat with him.
Yes, that's true. I have talked to him before.
How was it? I'm just curious.
It was good, as I recall. It was not it wasn't an interview. So yeah, it wasn't like.
It was when he was like, dressed as Elminster hanging out in the Yawning Portal?
Yeah, it was just Elminster hanging out, really. So, yeah.
Fair enough. I guess the real question, especially since there is a highlighted Avren in the background right now.
Right.
In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a familiar on Avren so that the ultimate is cast every time it's up, so that he just gets big in the background every once in a while.
I'd love it.
Oh no, I can't do that in this UI. Yeah, we haven't added that feature to the gamepad UI yet. It's coming.
I'm telling you,
but it's not there yet.
Bag of Devouring.
A Bag of Devouring.
That's your familiar. Bag of Devouring, also known as Bag World. If you want to have a lot of fun, little familiar Bag of Devouring. People will love it.
Well, we already have a gift wrapped mimic, so
It's not the same.
there's
It's
room.
not the same.
There's room.
Lauren, Obo, how do you feel about this? Obo, chime in on this. What's the gospel?
I'm waiting for it.
Come.
I'm waiting for it. It'll
Obo. Oh, I guess you're only here sometimes. It's not the same. What? Exactly. Bag world.
So I get the question is, so who is Avren and where does Avren come from?
Avren is an ass. Avren is very much the character I made growing up as a very poor kid who didn't even have a zip code at the time because of a weird government zoning thing. So I grew up on a farm, and Avren is this character who had no magic. He didn't have access to magical books, so he couldn't be a wizard. Mm-hmm. He definitely has problems with authority and with people in power. He wasn't going to do the cleric thing. He wasn't really interested in being a druid and being super peaceful and stuff like that. And one version of him at one point was a ranger, but I think he became quite cynical. So Avren tricked he wanted magic, but he wanted it on his own terms. So he tricked a very, 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 very powerful entity, and that's how he got his warlock powers initially. The story about who that entity is has shifted because, well, in the show, if you watch Heroes of the Veil, not all is as it seems, and not all the memories align perfectly in certain versions of Avren, because Avren does like to clone himself, but he's very much a first edition character. So he has lived many, many lives. So being from first edition, he remembers it. So Avren is kind of like Doctor Who, but also very much Deadpool. He is fourth wall breaking. He will bring up things from the past. He'll bring up Thaco. Or how like a hard rain would kill everyone in the village because everyone's hit points were so low back then. So he does have like a little bit of an edge and crankiness to him, which I kind of adore. I think it's fun. That's a character I've never stopped learning about though, which is really weird because I play him in like multiple groups and parties and Adventures League, and every time it brings out something new in that character, because you're interacting with other people, and that's why I like to keep on playing him, because I'm like, he changes every time a little bit. Like his personality is like a little altered. It's a long-winded answer who Avren is, but super arrogant and cocky. He's a demigod, but also when I say he's a demigod, this is also the person who's writing his own press releases. And he's kind of doomed forever. He keeps on coming back over and over again if he dies, but he almost always resets to like first level. So, he did trick this powerful entity, but ultimately he's the lowest tier god you could ever find. He's immortal, but like he could reach 20th level and die, and he's back to square one. He's back to first level. And that's kind of the trick. It's kind of like Loki, where he's always the victim of his own hubris and his own tricks. And same thing for the Joker for like the animated series and a lot of the comics.
Okay.
He's always a victim of himself. And even right now, Avren being a demigod doesn't particularly like that. It was a goal of his, but he hates all gods. So now he's in this kind of existential crisis, which one of my players actually called out very, very well. Obo Crazy, playing Orkira Eldrex, called Avren out on his BS pretty hard in the last episode. His hypocrisy. And that's the character. And I love that character. I adore him.
Do you find that it's because you mentioned that Avren always comes back with a slightly different shift?
Yeah.
Is that something that, because I've always had this belief that if you play a D&D character, you're taking a part of yourself to play.
Absolutely.
Usually. So do you think that's something that his shift is as you've grown to know yourself better as you get older, or like where does that shift come from?
Yeah, it's something I do, and I do think about the psychology of Avren, because he started out as a ranger in first edition, and he was very optimistic. He's very much the the character you make when you're like 8 years old. Super optimistic. He's like a 14-year-old. He likes to sleep under trees. He refuses to sleep in a house. Even if there is a house or an inn, he doesn't sleep in them. And he just wants to be one with nature and just be left alone. That's kind of like who that character is. But he's still heroic, but super naive. And once you become a teenager, he's like an assassin. He's super edgelord.
Yeah.
And so the character has definitely developed, and now Avren's at a state where he feels like he's been through, like literally I have been through all these editions of D&D. Avren has the memory of all of them. And I think his next stage is not having magic anymore and having kind of a fall from quote unquote grace.
Yeah.
There's a really great Unearthed Arcana that just came out that I'm really enchanted with called the Revived Rogue.
I knew it was going to be the Rogue.
Yeah, because it's almost his story to a T. And everyone's jealous of it because they're like, why can't my class get these abilities as well? I'm like, well, if anyone's going to cheat death, it's going to be a rogue. So
it's true.
And wizards can cheat death by being a clone, and clerics can cheat death by getting resurrected by their gods, and warlocks can make a deal. Fighters are tough to kill, barbarians are tough to kill. It's the rogue. The rogue is going to be the one who gets to do all this creepy stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very much the opposite of the arcane trickster as far as that goes. But
yeah. Huh.
But yeah, like a lot of my psychology is definitely bled into that character, and I think Avren. It's funny when you subject your players to was a character that you normally play for fun, and then you make him an NPC, and you see what a nightmare this character is, because he is like so hooked on his own deception, and even though he's not overtly evil, that runs thin. Like, you don't want to hang out with someone who's always lying. Like, it's kind of like when Thor calls out Loki in Thor Ragnarok. He's like, I know you're always going to be this way.
Oh, and the elevator cock. Yeah.
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 And Avren's very much at that point that Loki is, of like, he realizes he's done damage to the point where, like, okay, it's not that no one trusts me, and I actually care about people trusting me. And like, I've been playing with this toy that is trust, and I broke it, kind of moment. And so that's kind of like what that character is going through. Yeah,
that's a good. I like that analogy a lot, because that was one of my favorite Marvel films by far.
Oh, it's my favorite film.
And it's not just because it's funny, but like, they characterized both Thor and Loki
so beautifully,
in a refreshingly good way, but did a better job of portraying them like brothers, I thought, than any of the other ones they did.
Absolutely. They and there were wonderful things about actually Thor and Thor Ragnarok, but the chemistry wasn't necessarily entirely there. Like, that chemistry was always there between the actors, but they weren't given opportunity. And you got to see Chris Hemsworth and how funny he is, and Tom Hiddleston. And this is how I play Avren, actually. Tom Hiddleston's advice for playing Loki was, no matter how evil, terrible a thing Loki is doing, he has to be having the time of his life. And that somehow makes you forgive him. So, like, he's literally, like, pulling an eyeball out of somebody, but he's grinning. Like, it's like, this is the best.
Yeah.
Like, and somehow you can, like, get over it. It's so strange. The psychology of that. Yeah.
And he's going to have a show, apparently.
I can't wait. I'm dying.
I hope it's good.
I between The Mandalorian and that, I'm all in on Disney Plus. If it was just those shows, I'd be subscribed.
I'm pretty excited about The Mandalorian.
Yeah, Mandalorian looks. And also, Herzog's in it. Like,
I know, just listening to his voice.
Documentaries for years, and now it sounds like it's gonna be like The Mandalorian. It's like Boba Fett the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
bounty hunting is a very complicated business.
Yeah, it sounds so good.
Think?
And then Giancarlo Esposito and Carl Weathers. I'm very excited for it.
Bonkers. I can't
Gina
wait.
Carano. Yeah.
And Jon Favreau, I've been a huge fan of for a very long time, and hopefully I get to play D&D with him. So I'm gonna put the pressure on.
Well, I feel like you probably know the people that could Could make that happen.
I might know this. I might know the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I got a question just like kind of tangentially related to that. You've had the opportunity to play D&D in Joe's like mega nerd basement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's that like? Because the rest of us, like, we see Joe's Instagram photos where he's like clearly very into it, and there's just so much stuff there.
It was delightful, and I don't want to mention everyone who was in the room, but they were all wonderful players, and it's also lovely to be not the biggest guy in the room. You know, like Joe's stronger than I am clearly, but man, his trainer.
That guy's huge. Yeah.
That dude's huge.
Yeah.
But just the sweetest person. But yeah, so playing with everyone was really fun, and for that group they needed a cleric, so I'm like, okay, I'll just make Avren a trickery domain cleric, but all my spells come from me. But the fact that I got that group of virtual murder hobos to be like, you're really evil, dude, made me so happy. I turned a bunch of like bugbears and goblins. Avren convinced them that they should attack the Xanathar's guild, which was like easier for us because we didn't have to kill the goblins and the bugbears and all these things. Mm-hmm. So they were like, and they sent all their people out there, and of course they probably got died and they murdered. But I'm like, that was a social interaction that we just avoided so much combat. And for Avren, that's fine. I'm like, you want to be evil, go ahead and take each other out. You know, whatever. It's a simple solution. We're safe now. So,
I was just thinking about when you mentioned Joe's trainer, because I remember at Stream Many Eyes they had that Jox Machina game.
Yeah,
and it's like I've watched wrestling on TV, and so I know the Big Show is a big guy because he's big amongst very large humans. But there was a part at the end of after the Jox Machina show had ended where he was standing outside talking to somebody. Might have even been you. I don't remember who it was he was talking with. Standing under like a street post and just in LA, and I'm like cleaning up, getting our stuff out of there because we had that like water deep kiosk for Idle Champions. And I walk past and I'm like, just guy's enormous.
I mean, I don't have the same reaction, but like, I just remember him. He was a sweetheart. He was just a super nice guy. Yeah. Everyone was super nice. It was just a bunch of nerdy kids playing D&D in the basement. And, you know, like we're in our 40s, but it doesn't feel like it. We feel like we're like the kids from Stranger Things, and it didn't feel any different. And yeah, you know, Joe's got all the miniatures and everything like that, but like, I mean, it's nothing that you don't see at your own table. Like, it's just, we were just playing D&D, and it was like, I had the time of my life. It was really fun. Yeah. I think Joe and I get along so much. I don't know if it's a height thing or whatever it is, but we're also like giant Dragonlance nerds. That's how we connected the first time we met. So we have very hard opinions on Karamon and Raceland and stuff like that. So that's Joe is just, he's great. He's a wonderful person.
So Kender, yay or nay?
Kender, yay or nay? Okay. I gotta tell you, Tassoff Burfoot is a good person and instrumental to the Dragonlance series. I hate Kender. I'm sorry. Though they are an interesting barometer for fear. So Kender, if you don't know, in Dragonlance, are super annoying, cannot feel fear, and are precocious. But there are a few times when Tassoff Burfoot encounters things that feel like fear. Lord Soth made him very uncomfortable, which is like, okay, if you feel no fear and you meet this guy and you're like, no! Yeah, that's a bad sign. Mm-hmm. And the Shoiken Grove, which is the grove around Raceland's Dark Tower and Palanthus, also made him feel very uncomfortable. And so he's kind of the canary in the coal mine for when things are bad. Right.
He freaks out and you're like, uh-oh.
I would never play a Kender. I have played with people who have played Kender. And what's going on with Lone Shot?
Oh.
Is this a giveaway?
Yeah, exclamation one shot is for, we do giveaways of supply chests.
Okay.
In chat, so that'll be one of those.
I thought an Eminem song was about to start.
Yeah, and then Erica always picks them based off whatever the conversation is at the time. So.
Oh, okay, excellent. That's a good idea.
You're almost making me want to read all Dragonlance novels again because you read like 40.
I am.
You know what? It's been a while. Though.
I am sorely tempted to just go through them again, which is strange because I don't think I would reread Lord of the Rings because I read it way earlier than a child should, and I remember it was very difficult. But I've read Lord of the Rings quite a lot, and I've listened to like every radio drama and everything else. I'm pretty obsessive. I had a Lord of the Rings themed wedding, so if that gives you an idea of how.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm up in it. So.
I really, really like The Lord of the Rings. I just found that reading it isn't something that I enjoy to read the narrative as much as I've liked other writing. So
yeah, it
doesn't make it not good. It's just
Tolkien was very, very linear in how he decided to write it. So you will read all this stuff about character and everything that happens to them, and then you will see the other side of the story. So there's no cross-cutting. He didn't want to do any of that. He wanted it to be one book. He didn't want it to be three. And as much as I love Tolkien, and I don't want to upset anyone, but like, there's some issues, like the Southrongs and the Easterlings is some pretty lazy writing, and for other stuff like that. So, not perfect, definitely a product of his times, but that's probably going to always happen. Yeah, every writer is in a different time period. So,
Yep.
But I do like most of Tolkien's writing. It's amazing how much he wrote they never put into a proper book.
Oh, you've read the Silmarillion.
The Silmarillion.
I couldn't do it.
Tolkien's very much a dungeon master who never got a chance to run games for people.
Yeah, hey, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I think Tolkien would have never written a book and just dungeon mastered for people had D&D been invented at that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Instead, he created the first plane of the multiverse, basically.
Yeah.
Huh. So
Deep thoughts.
Yeah. Well, no, I was thinking about about Raceland and all that storyline and a bunch of other stuff, and I was thinking about it's.
I love Raceland.
Feels like it's all connected.
Raceland story. I would love to see Raceland in Idle Champions.
If we were ever given the okay to add a character from Kryn that was that important, I would love to.
Oh man, fight Lord Soth. You get Raceland in there.
Yeah.
Tanis, make him the least powerful character in the game. That whiner.
Yeah. Good character.
So I have to say, the design for Avren is brilliant. And it's hard to know that stuff because you send emails back and forth. I torture Chris Dupuy. And part of that torture is I've never been asked to put a character in a video game. And a character I've been playing this long. And I can't explain the DM torture of, oh, he's so tall. I love it. Having to nail down your character when you have the dungeon master's kind of ADD of like I constantly think of new ideas. It's terrible. And Chris was a good lad.
It's funny because because
I think I broke him.
The whole mirror image thing was something that was in the first iteration.
That was in the first iteration, and because that is a very big Avren thing. Like Avren for his beginning in Heroes of the Vale is a Hexblade Warlock, and very soon I found some delightful cheese of using mirror image and the feat Sentinel, which allowed me if you hit one of my mirror images instead,
free attack or
free
reaction attack.
Yeah, free attack, and also if you try to run away from me, I can reduce your speed to 0. I get an opportunity attack, and if I cast darkness on you, then it's just you and me in the dark, man. It's really creepy stuff. But Avren was very optimized. But mirror image, and when you think about a character who is so arrogant and full of themselves to that low-key Deadpool level, I think weirdly, and I don't mean to. I think all the Idle Champions are very much those characters. But you have a character who thinks of themselves as a god. He makes mirror images of himself to help the party. His ultimate is to become a giant and then shrink everyone else on the screen. You can't make a more arrogant character. Jim Dark Magic is super arrogant, but Avren is on a different level, right? He's got issues. and I love that it plays that way in the game too. And I just love the design. Plus, for cosplay reasons, I made Avren look like me. And to see yourself in a video game is a trip, for sure. So it's been lovely.
Did you used to cosplay? Like, did you used to make him something different and then cosplay as that?
Well, we had this conversation before we started Heroes of the Veil, which we just wrapped up, and we have a reboot or a new show called Beyond Heroes that is going to be very interesting. But yeah, so we had a conversation like, don't choose a character race that you can't cosplay. Because we may cosplay at like live events, and stuff like that. So I made sure that Avren looked like me this time. So
Did
Avren's
Lauren pick Dragonborn?
I tried to talk her out of it, and then she did Dragonborn cosplay at the Descent, and she's like, "We're never doing cosplay again." I'm like, "That's on you." That is all on Ovo Crazy. It's all on Lauren. Everyone else, Adam Bradford made his own armor. Like he looks like Briv. He did the makeup and everything else, but it's hard to. I know what the cosplay life is like. Man, if you want to cosplay your character, don't play a fighter in plate mail.
So heavy.
Yeah, so much foam to ship. Like wizards are pretty easy to do. But yeah,
fit an extra robe in your bag. Probably.
I can't think of a harder thing to cosplay than a Dragonborn. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Turtle.
Oh my god, I would love to see a turtle. And all I can see is like Dana Carvey in that weird turtle costume.
Oh god.
I think it's only gonna
Master of Disguise.
It's only gonna come out that way. Oh man, if I can get Chris Perkins to dress up as a turtle, which I can't. It will never happen. But
man,
it would be.
Eric Kokra, Loxodon.
Eric Kokra is so tough. Though there is a Kenku cosplayer who I interviewed.
Oh, I saw that video.
It's uncanny.
That was incredible.
It's amazing because she put all the thought into like what feathers should be wear of what type, and it's so seamless. It's probably the best cosplay I've ever seen.
I can't think of anything that competes.
It's not flashy, but it's like that looks real.
It looks like like a bird. They look like a bird.
That could have easily been in a movie set.
Yeah.
Yeah, her running around like that.
And just selling it on the physical acting of the movement.
Yeah,
and stuff.
absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would win in a battle to the death? Avren versus Jim.
Jim Dark Magic versus Avren? This is an interesting question because I kind of feel like Jim is more of like a Chris Angel, right? Like I feel like Jim's magic is ultimately just like party tricks and stuff like that. Avren wouldn't kill Jim. I think Avren would kind of like Jim on some strange level and gets it. Or he would crush him. I don't know. Yeah, the question has been brought up. Like, how would Jim... And maybe one day we'll get to see this. This would be great to see Jim and Avren on screen at the same time, playing in a game. So we could like suss that out. Like, we're two kind of similar characters in some ways, but and we're both kids from Spokane who are playing those characters. So there's got to be some scrappiness to that.
Maybe they'll invite you for the PAX West stage next year.
Yeah, that'll be terrifying. I will throw up on stage and then run away and cry.
Well, they're going to be fighting Lich Jim anyways, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I do have a few clones. My clones have gone bad. Like, just like every clone has an expiration date. Things go wrong. Yeah.
That's actually a good segue because I was thinking about the fact that it's not often that we do a champion that has a skin available as part of the event, but in this case,
was fantastic.
In this case, you have to fight the clones in order to get the skin to be a zombie.
Yeah, I love that. The zombie Avren is lovely, and it ties well into the item that Avren has. And it's kind of funny, like, you guys introduced this. I'm like, okay, well, I added it to my campaign. Here's the Veil because of the zombie skin. So the fact that I had to fight a zombie, I was like, oh, yeah. What if, like, all of Avren's zombie, all of his clones have gone bad and now are, undead and just kind of creepy, like the actual cloning vats were like left unattended, like the coolant wasn't working right.
Oh, God.
You know, like, oh, the description I made, and it was like you left the fruit in the fridge for way too long.
Oh, gross.
And so, yeah, I like that's something you guys introduced and said, hey, how do you feel about Zombie Clone? Which I love Halloween. I got married on Halloween, so I'm all in. And so I put that into my story, and that's kind of what I like about Idle Champions is like I can play these gap matches and I'll come up with ideas for my own campaign because you kind of see what works, in terms of like really short encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And monsters that you may not have thought of using.
We got a bunch of comments about that for a few of our ventures, actually. One of the ones where we had Sahaugen and other stuff as part of an event leading into an adolescent Kraken. Because and like Umberly and just like a lot of the stuff tied together. Scott Fitzgerald Gray writes a lot of our stuff, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where
I think
people
that kid's gonna make it someday.
Yeah. May or may not be on the masthead of every 5e book. But, it was one of those things where people are like, I forgot all about those. That's a great idea. And we're like, yes. That's a win for us, is anytime people...
I'm going to have to answer this, Giant Dwarf. A Halloween Lord of the Rings wedding, how much do I owe you? How much do you owe your wife? It was my wife's idea. We are both equally creepy and strange. In fact, I would say she's creepier and more dangerous. So she really wants us to be two halves of the same Kraken. So that's something we've been thinking
the
about.
two heads of the Demogorgon?
Yeah, basically. Like two Kraken warlocks who are both like throwing down tentacles left and right. Yeah. Our romance is dark and creepy. We're like Morticia and Gomez Adams.
That's good, though. They had one of the healthiest romantic relationships that's ever been done.
They really did. And I think it's a good analogy for Megan and I. We are very spooky people, but we were very healthy people. So, yeah.
And you even included your wedding ring in the...
Yeah, my actual wedding ring is in... now I can't see it.
Oh, it does not focus very well.
No, it's fine.
It's easier for me to pull up the thing.
Yeah, so yeah, I couldn't not. Like that's the locket right there is my wife's character, Sophia's. And we have, I would say, a healthy relationship. Not imagine the Joker and Harlequin, only if it was healthy and respectful. That's kind of like our devotion to each other, and our characters are very much played that way. But yeah, so it was great having Idle Champions like recreate our wedding rings in a video game, and I don't know, yeah, all the weird items that Avren has are actually from Sophia's, like from this weird like music box and everything else, and yeah, it was fun writing the text for all of those. Was kind of enjoyable. There's some creepy references to how dangerous Sophia is. Mm-hmm. Like, no, really, she's behind you right now. And the tentacle dagger was her idea, and that was really cool too. So, yeah, I love the tentacle dagger now. And I realized when I was forced to write text about it, I was like, oh, maybe it actually is a tentacle. Like that's undead that keeps like crawling away.
Oh God!
So like a what? Yeah. It just kind of inchworms away, and then I'm like, okay, now this entire dagger has like, kind of a personality. It's almost a familiar, especially since it's so prominent in like Avren's got this dagger just kind of floating, which I like. It reminds me of Magneto when he like walks into a room and he's just got like two steel balls. And he just knocks out the whole room. Yeah, there's a little bit of Magneto happening in there, and I very much like that.
I wish there were more of those films were good.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Well, Days of Future Past, I adore.
That was pretty good.
And Logan is I just love Logan to tears.
It was a very good Western.
And there were hits and misses. I think the first original two did their best, and they are responsible for the comic book genre like really coming back.
Yep.
And being serialized because when Batman came out, the original Batman with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, that was huge. I mean, every kid had a Batman shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was a school
I saw
uniform.
that movie on my birthday that year.
It was insane. Like everyone had it. Like it was required. People looked at you weird. And also there was a weird thing where if your yellow was different than someone else's yellow, there was like, okay, you have a darker yellow than the other yellow. Like it became that obsessive with kids.
Oh,
and
I don't remember that part, but
it was at my school. But and then Batman Returns got a little weird. But they gave us Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, and that was inspired. And we got Christopher Walken as Shrek. So
Max Shrek.
But then the third one, and after that things got pretty weird. But X-Men really is responsible for a lot of good things, and that came for comic book movies later.
Well, that was 2000. That kicked off the whole comic book tidal wave.
Really
been going
did.
for almost 20 years.
No one's played a comic book character more than Hugh Jackman. So yeah, same character, and they ended it so perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, him and Patrick Stewart both, but
Patrick Stewart's just delightful.
Yeah.
Delightful human being.
It was a pretty intense gut punch of a movie.
Yeah.
I highly recommend you watch at some point if you want to be depressed.
I remember it like the day I saw it, and I've only seen it once, and I have the black and white version and the regular version in UHD, and I don't know when I'm going to be ready to like sit down and watch it again. Because I don't know, like, do I need to be depressed today?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Do you wait for your day when you're super happy?
Well, it's also when you're telling those stories, like the end stories, where somebody is looking, like somebody who's lived past their time or past their prime, and they're looking for an end.
Yeah.
And like they're always hard to watch, especially when they're characters that you care about. And that one was definitely one of those.
It made it real. And it was something that we can all like relate to too.
Yeah.
Having an elder who is passing and senile, and the truth of all of it was just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because it was very different from Old Man Logan the comics, and
they took what was probably the harshest twist of that comic, and they did a much worse, more brutal version for the movie.
More brutal
which
twist.
I did not expect when I saw it. I was like, oh, that's so much worse. Oh, God.
And it's funny because you catch moments of like, in those horrible moments where you have, Alzheimer's and dementia, Xavier getting angry with him, ripping on him for just being a cage fighter and being nothing, and then asking, what did you do? Like, what did you do? Where are all the X-Men? And like, it just comes full circle. It's so painful. Yeah. It's a brilliant film.
And just
should have gotten an Oscar.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it's hard to imagine. I mean, science fiction and fantasy movies don't often get recognized in the way that they should. So, unless they can't be ignored, like The Return of the King, where it's like.
But hey, if you make a mob movie 18 times in a row, that's cinema.
Yeah. I will admit that I am excited to watch The Irishman at some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch The Irishman.
I don't think it's gonna get nominated for anything though, because it's not coming out in theaters.
That's a good point. Maybe things that aren't in theaters aren't cinema.
Well, yeah.
I'm just gonna pick a fight with Scorsese right now, and more so with Coppola at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're covering the full gambit of things on my mind. But back to Idle Champions.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
I am really getting into this game and learning like formations, and I getting to play this and have like the community teach me live on Twitch has been like super fun. It's very like it's kind of like cheating, right? Like everyone's just teaching you the game. I'm not so great at formations. I also like that this particular challenge, Avren has to be in the center. This is just more arrogant BS. This is, I don't know why I like to play characters who are just bad people. But he really is the Loki of the D&D universe at this point. Like, no one is as big of an ass as Avren in this sense. But he does have a soft spot for innocent and naive characters. So... Dream Wisp. I suspect Dream Wispian is actually
Dream Wisp Jen
is Jen Kretschmer, who is now in the chat.
That's my guess.
Who plays Alindra, Avren's daughter, who is an apple who has fallen far from the tree. and decide to become a diviner. Is this Dylan's run or Todd's? This is Dylan's playing right now.
Yeah, this is my account. I just kind of like leave it on auto when I'm on stream because I find it hard to pay attention to optimizing things and talking to somebody at the same time and reading chat.
Yeah,
so,
it's a lot to do all at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets worse, like there's a Zoom or a Skype connection or something trying to get that. So that's all working over here. And yeah. But as long as people are in chat, it tends to mean that the stream is still going. So I don't have to pay as much attention to that.
That's an excellent point. Encircled said in chat, people have a soft spot for bad guys who don't punch down. And I totally agree. Yeah, Avren never punches down. There's nothing, he doesn't find anything amusing about belittling people without power or people who are legitimately good people, who are innocent or naive. And they might be powerful, but if they are like legitimately good people, he generally views paladins as, people who kind of put their worldview on everybody else, because, the restraints of an oath. But
especially older edition paladins were even more like that.
Oh, so hard to get away with anything.
Yeah.
And Avren definitely lived through that era. But he's definitely friends with Keen, but he never got a chance to connect enough with Keen, who's played by T.J. Storm. But he has almost a sisterly affection for Orkara Eldrex, the Dragonborn, who Oboe Crazy plays. Because Oboe... that character is so well-meaning and so kind. It's very affecting to see. Even though that character has been put through the, literally stepped through the fire several times and has become perhaps a bit jaded, still maintains kind of their faith in humanity or dragonbornness. We have a question.
What would be a good name for a class that's like a Divine Wizard Super Summoner?
This is an insane class to make. Divine Wizard Super Summoner. So are you yourself divine, or are you summoning the divine? This is getting into conjuring.
Is it a divination wizard that focuses on summoning things? Because I always found divination wizards to be a nightmare to deal with.
Divination wizards are pretty powerful.
Yeah.
A Duminer. No. A Diviner Numer. I don't know. I can't think of a good name right now. It's an interesting class combination. I do make my own subclasses quite often, but I don't know.
Every once in a while, when I can't think of a name, I'll name them something plain like Steve.
Well, this is a name for the class, but names for characters is a nightmare for me. Definitely, Xanathar's Guide to Everything is a great Avren. Yeah, that's the most arrogant answer is Avren. Call your class Avren and your subclass Avren. Gandalf is exactly what that is. Gandalf is a celestial. If you want to do your research, he really is.
Jen's suggestions of channeler or conduit were kind of interesting for
conduit
wizard subclass.
Conduit is a nice simplicity to it. Yeah, arcane conduit, divine conduit, something like that fits quite nicely. Not arcane, but yeah.
The one of our artists, because we had an event go out in our other game today. I probably shouldn't be talking about it too much, but
how dare you?
The Crusader created for it. They're named the Evanescent.
Oh, does Evanescence play at critical moments?
No. There is a joke about the band, but it's like this walking mound of eldritch flesh made out of skulls and candles.
Oh man!
And it escorts souls from one plane to another.
I don't want to be escorted by that.
Yeah.
Is this
It's
is
creepy.
this in your home game? You invented this?
No. This is Kat's creation for Crusaders.
This is upsetting.
Yeah. Actually, I bet I can.
You might want to check into her criminal profile.
Kat's pretty smart. There it is.
Ooh, that is amazing. Is this going to be in the game?
This is in our other game.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Emo's New Moon?
Yeah.
Oh, what a great title. That is a gross monster. That is terrifying.
Yeah. Nice and creepy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So when are we just gonna like just really just make the Avren idol clicker?
Idle Avrons of the Forgotten
Well,
Realms.
like I already talked about, like
Of the multiverse?
Let's make it an adventure where you're fighting all the different versions of clone Avren. But I think we could go a step further and just make Avren the game, where all your characters are Avren, all your enemies are Avren, all your bosses are Avren.
Okay, you know what's funny about that is it reminds me we did an April Fool's prank.
Familiar, that's Avren, by the way, a tiny Avren.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, okay.
We did an April Fool's prank like that in one of our games once, but we turned everything in the game into bees.
I love it.
And players hated it.
Of course they did.
Hated it.
Yeah.
As in, we think it's funny, and they're like, "This is not funny. You've ruined the game." so, you know, which is funny because the temp graphic in this game and in our other game, if something doesn't load, the graphic will be a bee. It'll just be the bee.
I love it.
That's the holdout. Yeah.
That's so Avren. I love that Avren can be now an adjective. Yeah. Avren is the Avrenest Avren. Avren that broke me, man. You gotta watch the last episode of Heroes of the Veil because one of the characters just wished for their father to be alive, and oh my god, everyone started crying. It was so painful.
Oh man.
Yeah, some real tears got shed. Avren Simone. You know, Avren doesn't have a proper last name, but Avren's origin of his name is actually not based on Raven as much as it's based on Revenant, because he keeps on coming back.
Oh.
But hence
who?
even Revan, if you want to think about like Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, that was a good game.
So Avren is a reference to being a revenant, but also it did work nicely for just ravens in general, and there's some similarities between Avren's mythology and Munin, who is the god of memory in Norse mythology. So
yeah, one of Odin's ravens.
Yeah. Avren Munin is the one he's most afraid of losing, his memory, but he's concerned for thought, and that's how the old I forgot what the prose is called, but yeah, my Norse is rusty.
Oh, fair enough. I don't know any Norse, so
yeah.
Avren's Gate. What?
Avren's Gate.
They're just kind of going through Avren who? Darth Avren.
I'm telling you, all Avren all the time. Avren Monkey Mouse. That's definitely coming. I don't know what that Avren is. Yeah. That's a reference to his daughter.
Is Avren the name that they're remembered by, but is not the name that they started with?
The character started out as Avren from the get-go.
Okay.
Yeah. That character was always called Avren and has been for quite some time. Avren in a different game, not D&D, was actually a fallen angel who was uber powerful, but sent to Earth because he was too cocky, and that very much defined the character of he was like Christopher Walken level of arrogance from Prophecy. Because he's
wow.
you're all monkeys. He just sees humanity as just animals and filthy, and he's a god in his mind, but he has no powers. So he's got this disproportionate level of arrogance, and that's how I play Avren often, is that kind of level. Because I don't know, it's kind of like seeing Tyler Durden get the crap kicked out of him, because he's asking for it, and Avren's kind of like a character where he just keeps coming back for more.
Avren 2, the Avrening?
Avren 2, the Avrening? Yeah. Let's make that. Avren Club, where everyone talks about Avren. I'm telling you, I'm just letting you know that just based on chat alone, an Avren video game needs to get made, clearly.
But what kind of game is it? Is it an RPG? Is it what genre of game?
I know exactly what this game is. It's a game where everyone's been cloned. If anyone's played Assassin's Creed multiplayer, the old version of it, where everyone has to pretend like they're in a group, and you have an assassination target, so you have to pretend like you're one of the NPCs. You're walking with 3 other NPCs, and everyone's got the same skin on, and so you're trying to be chill. and walk like the rest of the computer characters, and then you have to assassinate your target. That would be a very Avren game. That was the most tense multiplayer of my entire life. Because it's so fun to like pretend like you're walking around like, you know, the characters in Assassin's Creed, and then you strike. And then if someone like makes one misstep, you're like, that's another player, so you hunt him down. You know?
Yeah.
Because like up to like 4 or 5 players could play at the same time. It was ingenious.
The new book could be Descent into Avrenus. Avrenus.
Descent into Avren.
Avrenus.
It's a Descent into Avren. It's a game where you literally get shrunk down and have to go inside the body of Avren.
Oh, like the movie Being Avren.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. Avren's Creed.
Oh man.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen. I'm concerned that we only have 9 minutes.
Yeah. I mean,
I could talk for longer.
well, then let's kind of find a
capstone.
Yeah, I guess the question that was actually coming to mind for me, just based on this conversation so far, is that you were talking before we started about how you're usually the one doing the interview.
Yeah, I don't like being interviewed.
This is a switch.
Yeah, I famously hate being interviewed.
Yeah, so
this is very nerve-wracking for me.
No worries. I guess like as an interviewer, like, you know, you've interviewed a lot of folks at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean, since working at NBC and local news and Forbes and BuzzFeed, lots of people.
So like, what is if you had one or two or maybe even a list of 3 things that you like, these are my guiding principles for talking to people and interviewing them, you know, what are they?
It's kind of hard because for me I feel like it's more of an art form. I grew up exceptionally quiet, and there's actually like not a condition, or it's not even a disorder, but there's a type of child who doesn't speak, and so they learn to read people's faces very acutely and micro expressions. There's been some books about this, and there's even a television show referencing those types of people. I can't remember. It had
Tim Roth, Lie to Me.
Tim, exactly. So I was one of those kids. So I loved watching people. I loved watching my dad talk to his friends. I was obsessed with watching micro expressions and stuff like that. So for some reason, I love interviewing people and seeing their expressions and getting to tell their own story. And I think me loving to hear people get excited about what they love and to talk about who they are is what makes an interview good. And if you're just there to check off the sentences, you know, the questions that you need to ask someone, that's okay. But I think people can tell when they actually care and they want to know the answer. It's very different. And I love it. I love asking people questions. And it's a bummer when someone doesn't like being asked them. But this is why I love interviewing everyone at D&D and the community, because everyone's so passionate and they're so creative, and there's no downside ever to doing those interviews. I could talk about D&D all day, or anything nerdy really. So it makes me very happy. So it's not so much of a tip. The other thing is sometimes you have to play kind of like you don't know what you're doing, because that gets a better answer. So don't answer the questions that you're asking somebody. It's a common mistake with a lot of interviewers who want to have more screen time, right? They will ask questions and answer them for the people, you know, the talent that they're asking them. And I've accidentally done this myself, but like if you're there interviewing Robert Downey Jr., don't talk about yourself for like 20 minutes in between each, you know, question.
Yeah.
I'll wax poetical about my own characters when I talk to the D&D folks, but that's more of like trying to connect a bridge to a concept. But I see a lot of interviewers and even people who do panels who, you know, it's not about you. It's the best advice you can get from Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
You know, probably my favorite Marvel line actually in the entire series is Tilda Swinton just turning to him going, "It's not about you." And I love it not being about me. And I love just watching someone's face and getting to know them. It's the reason I fell in love with my wife instantaneously, because I could read all of her facial reactions and her micro expressions. I kind of just knew who she was right away, and I fell in love with her. I knew I was done for.
Yeah.
Because I could see who she was.
That was like the first time you met her.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, I knew ahead of time. Like we met via Facebook actually, but like, you know, it was just obvious. Once we started like Skyping, yeah, I just knew.
Cool.
It's nice. I like interviewing people. It's wonderful. But when that's being focused on me, it takes me a while to warm up. It's panic-inducing and it's claustrophobic.
It's fair.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. But it is my favorite thing to do in the world. Yeah. And telling stories. Yeah.
Wow.
Dungeon mastering is something I love doing. And any day that you make your players happy is a pretty damn good day. Like, I had a good day yesterday, I feel like. The story was good.
That's what I hear. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to queue it up after we finish the stream.
Yeah, I hope it was. I hope I don't watch it again and go, oh, that was trash. Because you have Dungeon Master guilt, you know? You always wonder if you did a good job. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just like directing or anything else that I've done.
Yeah.
It's actually more personal, so...
Yeah. You're putting yourself out there creatively and...
Yeah, creatively and emotionally and Lauren is pretty much my psychologist afterwards. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. It was garbage. I didn't do a good job." Because she knows how well my creative process is, and so Oppo's always great about like, just being encouraging about all that stuff. And my wife is my biggest fan, so she makes everything better. And she comes up with crazy ideas that end up turning into storylines sometimes. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're a good team. She's great.
Yeah,
she's here in Canada.
Yeah, and you guys have an anniversary coming up next week. Since next week is
we did.
One week from today.
We got married on Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we've been celebrating all month because we found out like all the things happened on Halloween. We technically got married at a courthouse on like the 9th. Then it turns out she moved here like on the 14th. It's the anniversary of her moving here on October. Like everything romantic almost, except for our first date, happened in October. And we love Halloween. Halloween is our favorite time of year. You know, we had our decorations up last month. Our neighbors hate us.
Yeah.
So, like, I love pumpkins. I love jack-o'-lanterns. I've been watching nonstop horror movies for the last 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't get enough of it. So it's a magical time of year, and I'm very happy. Yeah.
Fair.
Very long story.
Cool. No worries. So we're basically almost right at 2. So.
I got 2 minutes left, man.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, well, because we're winding down.
What do you like about doing this show?
This show? A lot of things. I think that having time to have literal FaceTime with the people who play the game and who participate in the community is important.
Right.
And it's a relatively new thing for game studios.
That's true.
You know, and while some of them do, like, they'll do dev blogs and stuff on occasion, very few have weekly shows or shows with any kind of frequency where they can talk about what is current in the game and have a two-way conversation. And so I think that's important, and I'm glad that I get to participate in that part for us.
It's very easy to get disconnected if you don't do that, and Twitch is a great way to do that.
Absolutely.
You can be living in a bubble, and it's also a nice reminder that, especially if you're doing a good job.
Well, if you're doing a good job, or if maybe you're doing a good job, but you made some choices that the players didn't like so much.
Oh yeah,
it sometimes happens too. But
yeah, I get that.
all feedback is good feedback, though, because it's still feedback.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if they don't care, they wouldn't talk to us. So
that exactly. Like, there's nothing worse than not caring.
Yeah.
Star Wars fans are a good example.
If you talk to Dave and Justin out there, they will have some things to say about Star Wars.
I have complicated feelings about Star Wars, but
me too. But I still love it. And
I am optimistic for the coming movie.
I have faith that I will come out of it having been entertained, And that level of entertainment and love for the franchise is not going to change. But
I love stories. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, they may wrap it up really well. Dylan is doing a good job, but Avren took too long to arrive.
that's an interesting thing to say. You guys didn't know that Avren was coming until Avren showed up.
One never knows.
Yeah,
I don't think that people were that aware of Avren before. I'm like the first dungeon master to get his character made into a champion.
I think that's actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was a little surprised you guys chose me first, because I was like, "Are you sure?"
We were. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know that I'm that popular, but now I am. Spurt is wonderful. Spurt is great, but also listen, Spurt's
a 20-minute character.
Half of these, it's insane because like half of these people in Idle Champions I know personally and are my friends. But Spurt I adore the most because I adore Chris Perkins so much, and he's such a pure soul, with pointy horns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really fun.
It was
almost like a segue in that episode.
It was amazing. It was beautiful and
interlude.
amazing, and someone animated it on YouTube, and it's gloriously hilarious.
There's a bunch of animations. There's at least 3 or 4 of them.
So good. It's such a pure moment, and Chris just nails it. How old are you? 11 days. Just.
Oh,
I love interviewing Chris Perkins, Jeremy Crawford, and all of them. Kate Welch. Kate Welch is like her infectious laughter is fantastic.
Her show at the Descent this year was the one that I enjoyed watching the most. I didn't
she's
get to watch
so
any
good.
live, but after the fact, I'm like, I just laughed so hard.
I was in her first live Dungeon Mastered game, and I was so scared because I have PTSD, so I get very nervous in crowds and tight situations. So she ran us on a 1-hour adventure, and it was weird I am very shy, and to have like a crowd chant your name at the end of an hour, and I feel like she gifted me that somehow accidentally. Because things just got so improv-y and strange and weird. All these things started happening. She's such a great DM. Yeah, she's fantastic. Great story designer.
Yeah. And she was a blast to work with, too, when we were bringing Rosie to the game
Oh, I'll
earlier
bet.
this year.
I'll bet. Yeah.
She's fun.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's good people. And, yeah. I guess I have to leave now.
Well, you don't have to. But I'm going to get into the slightly less entertaining part of the episode where I address all the very game-specific requests and questions.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We've had some busy Q&As of late.
We would like Avren to be more powerful.
And, strangely enough, people are not asking for that. They're like, please don't take away his power. So
that's the minority. They want more powerful Avren, and let's make Jim Dark Magic tinier, a little shorter, and not so good at magic.
Well, it depends on who you put him beside in the formation, whether or not he looks like he's good at magic or not, I think. So
That's true.
yeah. All right, Todd.
All right, I'm gonna leave.
Don't worry.
Everyone, thank you for listening to me being interviewed and everything. I appreciate it. Go Avren.
Cheers, Todd. I will catch you tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
Awkward handshake.
Yeah, I know. I was going to grab the headphones first.
I thought you were trying to give affection. Well, either way. Yeah. Just see myself out.
No worries. Thank you. Hi, everybody. That was a wonderfully awkward handshake, headphone handoff moment. Fudge. And I knocked that thing over. Anyways, welcome to the shit show that is the Idle Champions weekly live stream on CNE Games and twitch.tv/D&D and mixer.com/Idle Champions. So, it's been about an hour since I mentioned it, so I would like to mention it again. We have talked a lot over the last couple weeks about this beautiful box of Gale Force 9 goodies sent to us by the amazing John Paul of Gale Force 9, filled with minis from the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus line of collector's series miniatures. So The one that includes Zariel, as well as a Planetar, Thavius Krieg, Mad Maggie, Silvira, Sabicus, and Lulu and Slobberchops. The winner of the grand prize goes to, I've already forgotten the name, so I need to scroll back up until I find it, Teresa D.K. of the United States of America. So we will be reaching out to Teresa to get shipping information to send this her way. And then the runner-up, the recipient of these four, that's the back, these four, a collector series, Githyanki Warrior, Izet the Lich, Durnan, and Mad Maggie, most of which are from the Dungeon of the Mad Mage series, and one of them is also a Descent into Avernus one. Going to the runner-up winner, Azragoth. And kudos for signing up as Azragoth and not the name that we're probably shipping to. So those two are the winners. Congratulations. And I have been somewhat ignoring a number of the questions that have come in because I just wanted to chat with Todd. But lots of things are going on. So I hope that that answers Krondaro's question, who had asked whether or not the winners have been announced. Let's see. I'm going to go back to the beginning just to go through these in order, and then I will catch up relatively quickly because there have been fewer questions 1 hour in so far. Harry Lipwig, how does he have E25 gold find in an event? That's the long and the short of that is that my character's item levels and equipment have reached a point where pushing past area 500 is a reality for me. Myself and a number of the other players who are at the higher end of the equipment and champion unlock spectrum, where we have everything, are able to push pretty far, and earning up to E22, E23 gold during an event is something that we can accomplish. It takes you a while to get to the point where your characters are geared enough and you can put together formations that can do that. Avren definitely helped. The last areas, Avren very much helped me get to that point. So, yeah, there we are. The real trick in the Avren free play is killing the masked man at 500, because as soon as he gets to your formation, he starts one-shotting everybody. But that's how I have such high gold find. Alrighty. It's probably being asked a lot, so I know this is supposed to be a single-player campaign, but will you ever think about some multiplayer options, like 3 to 4 player co-op stuff with a bigger formation, etc.? Bitmonks, we're not considering doing anything multiplayer related because this is a single-player game. So that's not something that we're looking at doing. But, every once in a while we find ways to try and encourage the community to contribute towards something specific. So, in the past we've done sort of collaborational challenges with the cast of High Rollers for their High Rollers Rogues Gambit, and the cast of Acquisitions Incorporated the C Team for the next most recent season, since they're on another season now, where players in our game can in some way impact gameplay in those sessions. And so, that is one way that we've allowed players to kind of work together. But other than that, like the biggest way for people to have a co-op or a collaborative experience in playing Idle Champions is to participate in the community. We're live on Discord at discord.gg/idlechampions. We have a subreddit at reddit.com/r/idlechampions. Participating in those communities and being an active part of it is really the best way to get that co-op fix for Idle Champions. So I hope that helps. So now that Todd has left, and the AC is on here, I'm starting to get cold. So I'm going to cover up my Vecna t-shirt with a hoodie for the next moment as it just cools down and becomes the streaming fridge that I'm always talking about. Okay, so Thunder Remix. Dylan, can you spoil the weekend buffs and the Golden Epic for this weekend? The Golden Epic is for Zorbu, and the weekend buffs are likely data mined, but I will double check because I haven't actually looked yet. Let's see. Last weekend was Magic weekend. This coming weekend is Avren's Challenge. With buffs to Gromma, Darlaxle, Calliope, Walnut, and Zorbu. Interesting. That's really interesting. So yeah. Wow. Zorbu damage buff, and then support buffs for Walnut, Calliope, and Gromma, and then a gold fine buff for Darlaxle. So, I mean, Zorbu's already pretty darn good. And there's a golden epic for Zorbu. So I imagine Zorbu players are going to have a very good weekend and are going to get really far. And we will have to evaluate that data sometime down the road. Alrighty. Next question. Todd shut the door to your booth and the cover fell off the light above me. Ask him to shut the door softer next time. I mean, I'm in Manitoba, but that has to be one hell of a shockwave. Oh, that's funny. The mom unit. It's been a few weeks now since I last asked. So here goes. Any news about the coloring book? Yes. All the things behind the scenes that were slowing down us putting the coloring book together and giving it away to people are done. So now what we're doing is we're working on an update to a part of our website to store these kinds of things so that we can put the coloring book up as they come out. And we just that's on our task list. It hasn't been done. So on that note, if you are one of the many folks who's been waiting extremely patiently to get access to the Idle Champions coloring book, you can probably, oh man, Chris will kill me for this, send an email to idlechampions@codenameentertainment.com and just mention, hey, I'm interested in the coloring book. Is there any way, can you let me know about it, or maybe I can get it or something? And I know that every once in a while it might be possible for us to send one to you. But otherwise, it is in our list of updates to update our website and put it up to live. But yeah, we did have some things that were holding us up behind the scenes that aren't anymore. So that will happen. Dejag, what is this version of Idle Champions? Well, I mean, this is the latest version. I want to say it's like 265, 264. However, I am using the gamepad UI. So if you are a PC player or a Mac player or a tablet player, you would be using a different UI than this. Whereas in your settings, you can toggle gamepad UI mode for your Steam version of the game. And as long as you have a gamepad plugged in, I have a PS4 controller, it will restart the game and you will play it with this UI instead. This is the UI that we developed for gamepad on Steam and PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So, yeah, I hope that answers that question. What do we got next? Let's see. Can we get male/female/other info with patrons boosting some of them? That's an interesting question. I'll pass that feedback along, Esmerandia. I'm not sure if that's something that we have in our plans, but you never know. Alrighty. Dylan, do you prefer your pizza with pineapples or not? It varies. I feel like being Hawaiian, I'm biased towards loving delicious pineapple. That being said, not all pizza should have pineapple on it. It's got to be an added positive ingredient that helps balance the palate of everything else that's you're topping on that pizza. Don't just throw it on everything because that's gross. But Hawaiian pizza, love it. Even just like any kind of like pork, ham, some other meats are like great to have pineapple with it. But yeah, that's probably more answer than you were hoping for, right? Alrighty. Ever heard the story of Boxcar Joe the Magic Hobo? Would be crazy if he could be a champion, but I doubt it. That's an interesting thought, Darklink. Let's see. Kron started as 42 years old. Then you added the part in his bio where you refer to him turning chaotic evil after a year of being looked down upon. He's still 42. Shouldn't he be 43? Hey, that's a good point. I'm going to pass that along to Chris. I like that's funny. I like it. I asked this question before to Todd, but I wanted to know lore or not was the purpose of Avren's mirrors. I can actually answer this, and it's only because I was actually in the meeting when we were first talking about Avren and Avren design. So one of the things when we were first talking to Todd about bringing Avren into Idle Champions was, we ask all of the creators that we work with a series of questions to try and do our best to distill a version of their character that makes sense for who that character is for our game. And so, we asked them about their equipment and the history and the, all that stuff so that we can put together equipment items. And we asked them about their aesthetic and if they have fan art that they like the most, or which version of them do we want to do. And one of the things that we ask is okay, what are their go-to abilities? What do they like doing? If this character was in a 5e encounter, what would they do, etc. That kind of stuff. And mirror images was something that came up repeatedly all throughout our discussion with Todd, both as something that he used as we were describing earlier in the stream, talking about using mirror images and exploiting the interaction with the sentinel feat to whenever an enemy attacks you and misses and hits a mirror image because it's adjacent to you, giving you a reaction attack, which is it was pretty good. And it just, mirror images came up a lot. And we're like, well, we've never done anything like that in Idle Champions. And so that was okay, what can we do with mirror images? How can we do that? And here we are, Chris Dupuis and Justin, our game director, came up with this. And that's how we arrived at Avren, was mirror imagey Avren. Alrighty. Will the Gith race be added anytime into this like they did in Neverwinter? We actually do have an event that features quite a lot of Gith. In the first quarter of the year. Is it the first quarter or maybe it's the second quarter of the year? Anyways, we have a very Gith / Illithid event that happens. And so, there's a fair amount of Githyanki in that. It's also the event where you can unlock Kenreck, our Gith Zerai monk who has broken the rules to have a Naginata, but also has a really OP buffing ability. So, we have them. Alrighty. Now that we got a release date for the next Evergreen, any hint on which one? I understand if not, but might as well ask. So, for those who don't know, our Evergreen champion, the next Evergreen champion, will be arriving on January 1st, 2020 to the game. Which one that is? So we already got in trouble because we first started talking about our upcoming Evergreen champions long before they were at a point where we were ready to include them in the game. And so I feel like this is going down that same rabbit hole. So I don't if I talk about who it is and then we end up making a last minute change and making it somebody else that's the Evergreen unlock. I don't want to make anybody upset if they were looking forward to one character more than another. So I think I'm just going to leave it at there is one coming on New Year's Day and leave it at that. Sorry. Zelos. Alrighty. I have a concern about the Celeste plus Constitution feat. The feat was accidentally given out and did not cost anything to unlock. I think that it was taken away from everyone, except for people that had it equipped. If it comes back and costs anything, it will be very unfair since people actually got it for free. So we've had a few things related to feats, especially the epic ones, of late that have had them show up, because some of the update includes something like that. It's a bug, basically. It's showing up. So I don't offhand have the info about exactly what it was that we did with it. But players are very, very concerned about this. This is one of those things. Does it make Celeste viable for Vajra or something? Is that why people keep asking about it? Because as I understand it, we took it away. Yeah, it would make Celeste viable for Vajra variants. That's why people keep asking about it. Okay. As things stand, we took it away from people. And it's, because it wasn't intended to be in the game already, it's one of those things where we are we will be evaluating how we want to reintroduce it. So these things happen. They're bugs. It's kind of a tricky thing in that, like, for example, we had some other epic feats show up early because we inputted some stuff into the game in order to make them possible for them to be available as part of a promotion. But at the same time, they became available for gems to purchase, and so players purchased them early. And then we deactivated that once we fixed the bug, but then we left the players who had purchased it already with them because they'd actually spent gems on it. And so it's, it's a process. We iron these things out. So, yeah. I don't have an update for you, but it's bugs happen. It's not a matter of trying to make things unfair. Alright, can we possibly get a pause button for the familiars on the ultimates bar so we can, when actively playing, stop them in between areas so they don't use area killers with only one mob on them? I don't think we're planning to do anything like that, adding a pause button for familiars, because we leave it to players to make, to plan when they want to use them, and if they have an area where they're not going to want to use familiars, you should be removing them from your familiar your ultimate roaming bar. So I can pass your feedback along, but it doesn't sound like something that we're planning to do. Garwar, question: any rough ETA on another patron being added to the game now that we have challenges live? I don't have any information about when the next patron is coming. But what I can say on the subject is that patrons are a thing where we want to be very careful with the release cadence of them, because every time you release one, you're releasing the entire game's worth of variants again for somebody to do, and in theory, you're also creating patron perks and a shop and challenges. It's a lot, and patrons already are a feature that some players feel is pretty overwhelming because of how much content it is to complete if you want to be caught up on everything. And so, I would not expect a frequent amount of updates, including new patrons, but we definitely have more planned. What plans does CNE have for more transparency in the incoming, outgoing buff situation? Any mock-ups or ideas? Nothing that I can share, Lisa. We've received a lot of feedback on the system as we've iterated on it, as it was, relatively recently released, and we know that there's a number of things not showing up correctly in it, like Avren's mirror images. So, it's being iterated on. I don't really have anything more to share on that subject. I don't know that it's going to be one of those things where we include a whole new UI for it. I think what is most likely to happen, and this is Dylan speculating, is that the extra detail that you get from some things, like when Archon's user power says, this is the ability's power and this is how much Archon is getting at this percentage, that kind of stuff, that added extra level of detail. We're aspiring to include that kind of context and detail where we can. But I don't have anything more for you on that one. Alrighty. Drunks27 has the idea of adding new Xbox One achievements to the game, since there are always new variants and characters being added. So adding achievements to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 is a less simple process than adding them to Steam. Is the most simple way I can say that. So that's a hard maybe. It's not something that we're planning to do right now, and it's not something that we're focused on. It's something we may try to do in the future, but it is less straightforward than you would think. Alrighty. Are there any plans for more exotic race heroes? Centaur, Triton, Loxodon, etc. That's a good question. I don't want to talk too much about the characters coming up towards the end of 2019 because this is Avren's event, and talking about other champions during Avren's event is really unfair. That being said, off the top of my head, and this could change, the remaining 3 champions of the year are Warforged and 2 other races that I would not consider exotic. What about GIF? Will we have Hippo Men? We've talked about that Wyverny win. I I don't know when. We have in the past had a GIF hero in our calendar as somebody we were planning to build. That has changed. We don't right now. We may again in the future. Like similar to the subject of exotic races like centaurs and tritons and loxodon and bugbears, etc. Because it's not as frequent of a race pick for people that we work with, like content creators, nor are they frequent picks for protagonist characters in like Forgotten Realms novels, etc. So because they're a little bit more exotic and rare, we have less opportunity to make them, which usually means that on our end, we can make a champion that uses one of these races, when we make an original character. So as time permits, that sometimes happens, but we don't have a lot of opportunity to do that. So, yeah. Do you plan to introduce more familiars for rubies or events? We do have plans to introduce more familiars that you can purchase with gems. And I don't know about having familiars you can earn through events, but I mean, that's always a possibility. But yes, we do plan to add more that you can purchase with gems. I don't have an ETA for that, though. Wouldn't it make sense for Dragonbait to be the next, since it would capstone the campaign, as that was a design goal at the time? Giant Dwarf, I will acknowledge that would make sense, but I don't want to promise that is necessarily what's going to happen. It might be something else. So, can you tell us if Dragonbait will be in the Tomb of Annihilation and Ulcoria in Waterdeep Dragon Heist? As first mentioned, which is to say nearly a year ago now, that was the plan. That doesn't mean that that's still the plan, though. The domain of what gets released when and when it gets worked on is very much its own pocket dimension, controlled entirely by Chris Dupuis and Justin Stocks. So, we all live or die. I mean, we all get that news and endeavor to make those things happen at their whim. So, all I can say is that right now, the plan is for the next Evergreen Unlock to be on as of January 1st, 2020. Alrighty. Any chance we can get a tab in the UI like formation buffs, but that instead shows incoming effects from blessings, perks, and weekend buffs, etc.? So this is something that we've talked about, Garawar, and we haven't figured out an ideal outcome for it. Hold on a second. I need to scratch my ear here because it's just super itchy in these headphones. It's driving me nuts. Okay, so the subject has come up. We've talked about it in meetings. We don't have any information to share about how that kind of thing might happen, but it is an ongoing discussion, I guess is the best way I can put it. I know that now that we have endeavored to create advanced effects descriptions and create more transparency about how the game interacts. I mean, let's be honest, you guys have figured out the vast majority of it. Like, how it interacts, but what you're not seeing in game is the features in the UI that show those exact things and confirm, what players have figured out. So, this will be an ongoing evolution, I guess is the best way of putting it. But yeah, we shall. I will pass that along. Just making notes about who to send what info. Alrighty, are the blessings named after D&D gods and goddesses? Well, I mean, in a way, I mean, Kelemvor's blessings and Torm's blessings and Helm's blessings. I mean, Kelemvor, Torm, and Helm are deities in Dungeons and Dragons, in the Forgotten Realms, in the multiverse. So that they are their blessings. They're named after them. Where Bison? If you introduce a Kenku character, wouldn't the interview on the stream for that character be really odd? Well, I mean, it's not like the creator of the Kenku character would be a Kenku themselves and thus unable to be creative or do anything other than mimic speech. But yeah, I am excited. I wanna add the Kenku that was in the Kenku monk that was in that book recently that Jim Zub put out. Because I find them really interesting. Not that Kiri isn't super cute, but Yeah, that would be my first choice, Kenku Monk, because it's funky and interesting, and it's a bird monk. How awesome is that? Alrighty. A changeling who has a specialization choice to gain a racial bonus would be cool. That's an interesting idea, Sir Monstein. I don't know that we... Oh, man. Can you think of how difficult the design of that would be to build? Like, a changeling that is essentially a PC because you can pick their race and then pick their class and all that stuff. That would be a monumental effort. Yeah. Yeah. It'd also be really interesting in that, like, you think about different variants that are available in the game that, that do or don't allow different classes or races or whatever. And then you have this one character that you can just make eligible for all of these different things. That doesn't sound like something that we would consider, but it's an interesting idea to think about for sure. Yeah. Let me take a drink because I'm starting to... that's basically empty. It's okay. I have another drink. Except this one looks all shimmery because of the green screen. Woo! Partially invisible. Oh, man. Okay. So something that I wanted to note, and this is not something that we're going to be doing this week, but if you tune in next week, you will get more information, is in addition to this box, we received another one. And it's much bigger. It is a much bigger box. Next week, I'm going to open that box, and then we will see what happens next. But not yet. That'll be during next week's stream for episode 99, which we are doing on Halloween. We are doing a Halloween stream. So if you're not busy overdosing on candy or trick-or-treating or partying or whatever it is you like to get up to on October 31st each year, we will be hosting our weekly live stream at the usual time, 1 o'clock p.m. until 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Here, wherever you are viewing this from, we will be in this spot. And we will have our special guest next week will be Aaron Evans, author of the Brimstone Angels novels, and who is a delight and wonderful to chat with and fun and awesome. And we will be chatting about some cool stuff. And I will open the box, and we will talk about the box and what's in the box. It's not Gwyneth Paltrow's head; it's other stuff. But it's a very cool box. We're excited about it. We will talk about that then. Alrighty. Let's see. Giant Dwarf comment. With the advanced stuff, I'm assuming the effects descriptions, it would help to have some of the blessings better spelled out, like slow and steady, all walks of life, classy gathering, etc. It's a good point. I mean, I don't know what the plan is related to those things, but I will pass that along because it sounds nice. Is there content for multiple players planned? For example, killing a super boss. There isn't, Tammins, but it's an interesting idea. It reminds me of, like community challenges. I don't know how many of you play things like Destiny 2, but it's like, kill this many bosses, and if the players who are playing the game kill enough of them, you'll unlock this thing for everybody, kind of stuff. We don't plan on that kind of thing happening, just because it's a single player game. But you never know. That stuff is generally pretty interesting and fun, and it's also cool to be a part of a community that's working towards something. So I get it. Will you be dressed up in a costume for the next stream since it's on Halloween? I would like to think that I would be dressed up for next week's stream. The thing that usually happens to me, and this is the case for pretty much every year, is I don't generally pay attention to what day it is until well into the day. So if I don't remember that it's Halloween early, I will just show up like every other day, and then I'll get to the office and be like, why are people dressed as unicorns and stuff? Oh, shit. Because that's what happened last year and the year before. So, yeah, maybe. Alrighty. Okay, Mobile HQ. From a colorblind fool, when I look up to the top right, I see 3 yellow potions. Speed, Fire Breath, Clairvoyance. Any chance of a change or a colorblind mode? It's an interesting question, Mobile HQ. We don't have plans to make a colorblind mode for the game. And the colors of the potions are actually based off of the descriptions in the D&D books. So if they all look too similar, you're actually not the only one. They do tend to be of that many like golden potions. Like if I pull it up right now, going into the inventory, the difference between potions of speed and potions of fire breath and potions of clairvoyance is not that significant. And so, you can just see that there's like little eyes in here. And in here, there's a different background for the potions of speed. And so like the differences are subtle, but they're not great. So I don't know that a colorblind mode is something that we would look at doing to address that, because they are intentionally all the same color. However, we don't if you're not playing in a version of the game where you can mouse over it and see what the potion is, it might make it difficult for you to figure it out. So at the worst, Mobile HQ, I will pass your feedback along. There we go. Making the right name for that part. Will you put on an Idle Champions costume for a Halloween stream? I suppose I could. I have a lot of Idle Champions shirts. I'm wearing my Vecna the Whispered One Death Save shirt at the moment because I love this shirt. And it's, the eye of Vecna and the hand of Vecna both glow in the dark. Like, awesome shirt. But I don't know, maybe I'll be able to find something else. I'm not, I don't really know how to do makeup, and I'm not great at a lot of things, so. And also, this, I wonder if I can get in trouble if I dressed up as a character from something that's not D&D related. Just show up as Yoda or as the Mandalorian. Have that voice filter thing. We'll think about it. I'll have to think about it. It'll be a last minute costume, so whatever it is, it'll probably be crappy, just so you know. Alrighty. Takun 363 on Evelyn's compelled duel specialization. The yellow text on PC says, after Evelyn attacks an enemy that has recently attacked them, divine prayer ... Shouldn't that be attacked her? Well, either or is actually technically correct in this instance. We tend to use singular they as much as possible because it's proper old school English. And the system in game that puts a lot of these descriptions together uses singular they. So, yeah. Dylan, you're on stream, so you only really need to worry about the waist up. Well, I do plan on wearing pants, but I'll concede that I can go with a costume that only covers the waist up. I'll figure it out. It's practically only shoulders up, right? My chest only goes to here, so that's actually pretty high up. Is the box actually a childhood sled? It's not, no. But I don't want to spoil what it is yet. I will wait until next week. Chasm of Bones. With the ever-growing pool of champions, what is the in-house perspective on how balanced things feel at the moment champion-wise? Us min-maxers will always search out a meta, but curious how you feel balance is at the moment. The balance is better than it has been in a long time at the moment. I think that there are a number of options for players to get to what we would consider the very top levels of progression right now. There isn't only one formation that will get you there. And so that's the part that to us says it's relatively healthy. There's more than one option. In fact, there's more than two. Like you can get there with Zorbu, you can get there with Companions of the Hall formations, you can get there with Kron formations. Like your options are varied. So we think that's good. That being said, yeah. We have the raw data for how much players use different characters. And, we see players that are used less. And sometimes that's because they are a champion that we feel has a good design but doesn't have a place, like Delina. We really like Delina's design, but she doesn't fit into anything well. And other times it's because, champions underperform. And so people don't want to use champions that just straight up can't accomplish what they want to get done. And so there's those ones as well. And so, we have what we are calling the Year 1 Champion Update Part 2 coming later this quarter. I'm not going to give you a date because I don't want to miss that date and cause problems then. But we are planning to get it done before the end of this year. And then we'll be looking at year 2 champions that are underperforming. And we feel like right now more of the year 2 champions are in a good place. So, there's only a handful of them that aren't performing at a level that we would like. So we'll get to it. Balance and updates are an ongoing thing. But, the hope is that as we iterate on the game, that we will require fewer and fewer reworks moving forward and just rely more on tweaks that we can do either through slight adjustments or through, things like soft cap increases where we can, make some tweaks there. Dylan, will you make a warden costume? That would be awesome. Oh, that would be awesome. Oh, man. Maybe. Maybe. It would look like shit, just so everybody knows. But I like that idea. Maybe. Alrighty. Conspicuous compiler. You could add art to the stopper that is more indicative of what kind they are without any kind of colorblind mode. Clock face on the speed potion, a fire symbol on the fire breath, and so on. Those are really great suggestions, Conspicuous compiler. I will pass that along. I don't know that anything will happen, but I will pass it along. Alrighty. Snoo. When Avren does his ultimate and turns into a giant-sized player, while using the zombie skin, why doesn't his image stay being zombie Avren? That is a great point that I'm going to pass along to our team because that sounds incorrect. So if zombie Avren goes big and doesn't stay a zombie, then that sounds just wrong. So I will follow up and see whether or not that's actually intentional, because it sounds like a bug. Alrighty. Would love to see a Warforged Bumblebee in game someday. Oh yeah. Okay. Tyrone Cash for Money. Welcome back. Are there plans for more tanking spellcasting champions like Turiel, such as a wizard with a golem bodyguard, a defense-oriented Eldritch Knight, etc.? So our next champion is a tank, but they're not so much a spellcaster. There are no other tanks before the end of this year. We have at least one tanky champion planned next year. I don't know that that's something that we have as an official point, like caster tank, in our planning pipeline. So, like, I'll make a note for Chris to see whether or not. Excuse me. There we go. I was waiting for a burp, and I didn't want to just like horribly burp while talking. So I'll pass that along to Chris because, that is something that I would also like to see. I think magical tank type characters or, just like something a little bit different than sword and board types is something that I like to see more of. So I'll pass that along. Thunder Remix. Question. Is the box WizKids Descent into Avernus Minis? That would be cool, wouldn't it? That would be really cool. So we are at 1:45 the hour. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna start just talking. No, but seriously, I'm gonna give a little bit of an update. Our office D&D game has exclamation warden. I like it. Our office D&D game has made some interesting choices. And we just ended our session today, which we won't get a chance to continue until next week. But we ended our session today with coming face to face with a lich. And while our characters are level 11, they are they are basically completely out of spell slots and feature abilities, traits. Like, we are so incredibly burnt out and weak at this point that ending a session today coming across a lich was like a shit. So next week I might be wearing my TPK shirt because we all died. We shall see. Yeah. We should have a short/dwarf tank, and it'd be nice to have a mage tank. Also a tank with a trident. One of the characters I always thought would make a good tank, and so on the cover of the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide, there's a number of champions, some of whom are in the game, right? Like Naeli Goldflower and Makos and Hitch are all actually in Idle Champions, but there's two other characters on that cover that aren't. One of them is named Illyria Moonshadow, I think is the name of the moon elf like ranger that's on the cover. And then the other character is Skip Brickard, who is like a halfling champion fighter. And I was thinking that Skip Brickard would make a great tank, like an incredibly aggressive halfling with a hilariously large two-handed sword, but they're a tank character. That would be fudging cool. Oh, that was close. Anyways, that would be rad. Yeah. Anyways, what else should I say? I mean, it's quarter 2. We have the last giveaway going. We're going into the final weekend of Liar's Night 3. So this is the last weekend for you to unlock Kron, Dinar, Avren, earn all their stuff. So please do, because quite frankly, they're all good. Kron is a fantastic DPS. I mean, he's my main DPS, but I've dumped a lot of contracts into him. Who scales extremely well. Dinar is actually a really good support who just so happens to buff Kron really well since he's also strong. And then Avren is, the only pure support champion in slot 11, is a phenomenally powerful support champion, and we're not nerfing him. So all of them are worth grinding out as much loot as you can get for them, in the order of your preference. So yeah, I need to have better gear than Todd because it'd be funny. Titanium Taz, the usual question. Spoilers for the weekend. I will get back into that. I mentioned it once on stream already, but I will do it again. So I have to pull up the document because my brain is like a sieve, and stuff just falls out as quickly as it absorbs it. One of those fast learner, but also fast unlearner type people. This coming weekend, Avren's Challenge, with buffs to Grama, Jarlaxle, Calliope, Walnut, Zorbu, and a golden epic in the shop for Zorbu. If you are a Zorbu player, this is a good weekend for you, especially if he's your primary DPS, because those are some great support buffs that the rest of the characters have. So, certainly that will be very cool. I see that there's 1 minute until the raffle draw. ! Tank. What else? What else? Kesmos, we don't have a sword and board tank yet. Oh, sorry. That comes next event. There'll be a sword and board tank pretty quick. I'm thinking of things in the context of what we do and don't have, including things that are not quite out in the game yet. Anyways, what else? Next week is Halloween. So it would be awesome for you guys to join us next week for a Halloween stream. But I totally understand if you are busy partying or trick-or-treating or taking some young humans out to trick-or-treat or whatever. Halloween means different things to different people. So, or if you're Todd and Megan, you'll be celebrating your anniversary. So have an awesome week. Have you played a cleric, Dylan? Red Seer, yes, I have. In fact, I have played a cleric a lot. My home game, my main character is a Death Domain cleric of Kelemvor, who is descending into the final level of the Tomb of the Nine Gods in the Tomb of Annihilation campaign. The next time we play the Tomb of Annihilation, we are heading into the final encounters in that play group. We're pretty excited about that. So, yeah. Sir LeChuck, I didn't say lich. You said an animated skeleton with glowing red dots for eyes, wearing robe. You described a lich. I'm sure it's a lich. If it's not a lich, great. Cast all the death wards. I have, Lauren. I have cast the death wards on the most death prone people. It's going to be interesting. I'm actually pretty confident that my character can make it out, but of the Tomb of Annihilation, not our office campaign. That my character in the office campaign doesn't make good decisions. She may not make it. The Tomb of Annihilation is ruthless, absolutely ruthless. So good job, Wizards. I really enjoyed playing it. Looking forward to finishing it too, because after that it's Descent into Avernus for that play group. Pretty excited. Use Finger of Death on the Lich? No. So I could just die? Oh, God. That ain't good. That's no good. All right. What else we got? What else? Oh, yes. So next week's update, coming to Idle Champions, because it will be Liar's Night will wrap up on Monday at noon Pacific. So our next update will include additional adventures for our Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign. Yeah, pretty excited about that. I got a teaser related to that coming up at the end of the stream. Yeah. And that's kind of about it. For those wondering whether or not there is a hidden stream code this stream, there is. I did say it. I said the exact words of it over the course of the stream, so you'll just have to figure out when. Otherwise, yeah, just, there's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot going on in people's lives, and it's kind of one of those things where, I was telling somebody this recently, although I've said it a number of times before, take care of each other, take care of yourselves. I mean, you can't take care of somebody else if you can't take care of yourself too. You gotta, self-care is important for helping other ones. Otherwise, just have a great weekend. I hope your RNG is great. To tune into the things that you love, have a lot of fun, have a great Halloween parties, have fun, take care of yourselves and take care of each other, Yeah, and that little ramble, this has been our show for Thursday, October 24th, 2019. I want to thank you all for joining us and for participating in the Idle Champions and Dungeons & Dragons communities. You guys are awesome. This show exists because of a whole lot of folks. So over at D&D, we have partners, awesome group of people who are extremely passionate about everything they work on. And so huge shout out to Greg, Bart, Pelham, Allison, Shawling, Lisa, and Raphael, who are, help us with all kinds of things. Just tons of stuff. Also, huge thanks to Erica, who co-produces this with me weekly, manages giveaways, connects me with questions, gets me answers I don't have, generally invaluable in all senses. And huge thanks to Todd. Todd is here in studio right now, although he may have left. As he mentioned, is less of a fan of being interviewed, but showed up on our stream to be interviewed and talk about Avren. So huge thanks to Todd for that. I don't know what the schedule is today on the D&D Twitch. I know that on Thursdays it's usually Welch's Game Juice at 3, followed by Critical Role at 7, but that might not be the case this week, because last I checked, Kate Welch was on vacation. I don't know if that's the case. It might be. Otherwise, have a fantastic night, day, weekend. Enjoy your shows and podcasts and all the things, and thanks for tuning in. See you guys.